I recognize myself for 5 minutes. We've recently been made aware of meetings that have been taking place at the White House about federal long-term recovery efforts. According to what I have heard, there's a desire by some in the White House to consolidate and coordinate federal post-disaster recovery efforts out of the National Security Council. Although I'm open to hearing more about the plan, I am skeptical about the approach and have serious concerns about how this could be effective. Can you confirm that these discussions have been taking place?
Mr. Chairman, recovery is a very complicated process, and we are always looking for ways that we can improve that process. We have been in conversations with the National Security Council about ways that the recovery process can be improved. I would say that it really relies on two things. The capacity of state and local jurisdictions, those that have the longest and hardest recoveries are those that have the least capacity, and how can we continue to improve that capacity? But also the ability of our federal partners to make sure that they have the ability to stay engaged and support these communities throughout their process.
Okay. Now, are you in favor of taking recovery functions from FEMA and giving it to other federal agencies?
FEMA's core mission is and will always be recovery. We were founded on the principles of helping these communities recovery. We've evolved into a response agency, and we're really approaching our ability to do resilience more than ever. I think creating any opportunity to improve recovery is something that we have to better understand what the needs and the issues are from those that we are helping at the state and local level.
I just think that we need to keep an eye on creating more federal layers of bureaucracy. Obviously, many of the questions that we've had here today falls into that exact situation, and it seems by adding more layers only makes some people's jobs more difficult, probably including yours.
There are lots of layers of bureaucracy at times.
So just one last question about this. Are you aware of any outreach by the White House or the administration to groups such as the National Emergency Management Association or the National Governors Association on this proposal?
I do know that during our last National Emergency Management Association meeting that was here in the Washington, D.C. area, we had an opportunity to provide members of the National Security Council to provide an update. They have since followed up with a letter requesting further coordination. FEMA's happy to continue to support that level of coordination.
Great. Just moving on to sort of grant programs for a second, because I know that's important to many of us sitting up here. I think one of the focuses that we've had on this subcommittee is to make sure that FEMA grant funding makes its way to smaller entities. You take a district like mine, and I know many of us up here are serviced by either many first responder agencies, sometimes volunteer. Sometimes those groups don't have the ability or the resources that they need to even understand how to apply for such grant funding. What is FEMA doing currently to help with outreach, to make sure that we can reach those communities, those institutions that are smaller? I mean, we'll take the New York area, for example, and when you hear of FEMA funding, you hear, and listen, I'm a proud alum and have had a great career in the NYPD, but you hear money going towards there when there are so many smaller police departments, law enforcement agencies, first responder agencies that perhaps aren't getting what they need or don't even meet the threshold to get that funding because they haven't gotten it before.
Yeah, our grant programs have done such an amazing job of increasing the capacity and the capability and the level of preparedness across the nation. But I do still see challenges in making sure that we're building capacity across the nation as our threats are changing post 9/11. We are really increasing our level of stakeholder engagement and outreach and streamlining the way that our communities can apply for this assistance. I think a great example is our nonprofit security grant program that goes to those institutions that face this new threat of domestic terrorism upon them. We did an incredible amount of outreach to let them know that these programs were available. We streamlined the process for them to apply. We saw a significant increase in the number of applicants. That means there's still need out there, and we're reaching those people that have that need. We're committed to continuing to get out into these communities so we can understand where the gaps are and build capacity.
Yeah, and this committee has really tried to become a partner in that. I know at the beginning of the 118th Congress, we did an online meeting with all of our colleagues to talk about the nonprofit security grant program, how they can push it out to their communities. I know in my district and others up here have utilized online presentations to speak to stakeholders and let them understand exactly how it is that they could prepare themselves and apply for these grant programs. But, you know, like Mr. Strong said, you have a lot of different people up here from a lot of different backgrounds, whether it's the military, whether it's the fire service, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's, you know, finance and private work. There's so many individuals up here that want to reach their community. Let us be a partner with you, please. And I mean that with complete sincerity. Let's make sure that those lines of communications are open, because it's some of those smaller communities, some of the ones that are in need the most, that really could use the help. And we want to make sure that we deliver what we have to them.
Mr. Chairman, I really appreciate that support and that partnership. It takes all of us to make a difference.
And let's do it together.